Hello guys, my name is Faraz and I will be your Mandarin trainer here for the introductory Mandarin course. And today we'll be studying about the Mandarin culture and some daily etiquettes and stuff related to the language and the culture itself. So today's part will be more of an introductory kind of part where we will try to understand how the culture and language works like in a combination between each other, and what are the things that we need to uh, like take notice of while using the language or like while communicating with the native speakers. So first of all, some facts that I would like to mention about the Mandarin language. It is one of the most widely spoken language in the world. It has over 1 billion native speakers. Uh, Mainly in China and Taiwan and also Singapore. Uh, there are also plenty of Mandarin Chinese speakers in Hong Kong and also in Macau. And there are plenty of Mandarin speakers even in Malaysia as well. So overall, uh, this whole Mandarin culture, or you could say the language, is centralized in like many different regions of Asia Pacific. And currently, it is also one of the most prominent languages in the world when it comes to like the business domain, because with the growing economy, not just China itself, but if you see the Taiwan side, I mean the semiconductors and all that electronics industry, especially related to tech and computer science, you will see a lot of contribution from their side as well. So it is very important language to learn. So basically, Mandarin as a language, it's a tonal language, and it has four main tones, but overall it consists of five tones in total. Fifth is the neutral one. That's why there are places where you would see that they'll say that it has four main tones, but actually it has five tones, but fifth being the neutral one and four being the main ones, because they can be used on their own, while the fifth tone being neutral, it often require other tones to collaborate in a combination. Only then it can be implemented or used in a perfect way. So that's why generally we consider it to be a language consists of like four tones, but in reality, especially if we go deep, it can even use the neutral tone depending on the context, of course. So the meaning of word can change completely depending on the type of tone you use. So basically, this is the main phenomena with a lot of tonal languages in the world, not just Chinese Mandarin itself, but if you see languages like Vietnamese, or you could say Thai, or even Indonesian and Malaysian languages, all those Sino-Tibetan group of languages, I mean, they belong to this uh, tonal language family. So that's why it's very important to learn about the tones very well and how to use them and how to differentiate between them while communicating with the other speaker, whether it's about like understanding the person or whether it's about like communicating yourself. uh, it is very important to have a better understanding of this part. So about the lifestyle, there is a deep respect for like tradition and family roles in Mandarin lifestyle culture, and there is a great emphasis on education and self discipline, because a lot of parents they emphasize a lot on the education and self discipline of their sons or like their daughters. And even if you look at their history, one of the most prominent figures in the history of like Chinese culture, like the Confucius himself, he put a lot of in emphasis on education and on self discipline in daily life. And it is like obvious when you interact with the people from like the Chinese speaking community, you can obviously see those triads being applied in their daily life. So other than that, we can see harmony and balanced value in daily life. Uh, Harmony is also very important in daily life culture of a Mandarin speaking society, and it balances the values of uh, their life that are like really important to them, and of course the importance of festivals, rituals, and ancestry. These are all considered very important uh, aspects of their culture as well, and obviously a very important aspect of their daily lifestyle. And preference for like modesty, order, and respect in social settings is also equally important, because modesty is a very, very important part of the Chinese society, because being modest is considered very important despite of the fact how much successful or how much achievements a certain human being in a Chinese speaking society has achieved, he still has to be respectful in social settings and also very modest, because not being modest enough, I mean, in a Chinese society is considered rude and ill-disciplined. So these are also some of the important aspects of their daily lifestyle. So next we will talk about the Mandarin work culture. Employees prioritize team success over individual achievements. So individual achievements are not really as important as the team success as a unit. So this is also an important aspect of the culture. And respect for the rank and authority, it also shapes daily interactions to be like more equally balanced in their life. So punctuality and adherence to the rules is also highly valued in their culture. And one of the most important aspects, like the personal relationships, like guanxi, in are also key in professional settings. So in a Chinese society, guanxi is like going to be very important, whether you are looking to get into a school, or like whether you are looking to get into an office, like trying to find a job, or even if you want to do business there, it is going to play a very, very important role in that particular activity that you plan to do, because it is also considered to be one of the most important aspect of their work culture in daily life. So communication tends to be indirect to preserve harmony. A lot of important aspects when it comes to communication or talk or even general discussion, the approach tends to be indirect, so that they can like preserve and maintain a harmonious kind of environment within the working environment or culture. So they don't really try to say or like communicate openly in front of others. Usually if they are like wanting to communicate with a certain person, they try to do it separately, so that the person may not get offended that much easily. So this is also a very important aspect of the Chinese society. So Mandarin social norms is the next section we are going to talk about. Elders are shown great bit of respect in both words and in actions, and avoiding direct confrontation is like considered to be very polite. Uh, and then gifts are given with both hands. Uh, you can't really give the gift with either one hand or like just a finger or like few fingers, because it is not considered polite. So it's very important uh, to understand that whenever there is an exchange of gifts between yourself or like another person from a Chinese speaking society, it's always polite to give the gifts with both hands intact. So this is also going to be very important. Modesty, just like I mentioned before, is valued over self-promotion. So no matter how much successful one is or one can be, he should always remain modest, and he should always be willing to show the willingness to learn or improve even more, because there is no such thing as perfection in a Chinese society when it comes to achieving success. It's all about like doing the continuous like training of yourself as a professional, and like uh, willing to move forward and trying to learn more and more. It's like more of a never ending learning cycle or phase when it comes to uh, learning something or like achieving something in their society as a journal perspective. So public displays of affection are generally avoided in Chinese culture and not considered to be very polite in their culture. So this is also an important aspect of their social norms. So next we are going to talk about some common Mandarin greetings. And these common greetings are used in like everyday life. Uh, One of the most common one, and most of people I think already know about uh, these kind of greetings, especially the most basic one, is ni hao, which means hello in Chinese. It's a general term for like greeting someone or like meeting someone for the first time. Uh, Usually they greet it with this kind of expression. And then we have the next expression, which is 早上好. 早上好 means good morning. And it is also used to greet someone, especially during the morning time. And then we have 下午好, good afternoon. This expression is used for good afternoon. And then we have good evening, which is 晚上好,晚上好. This is used for good evening. And then have you eaten? 你吃了吗?你吃了吗?你吃了吗 means have you eaten? So in all these expressions, uh, if we try to separate them part by part, we may be able to make a sense out of them. At least a few of them do make sense when it comes to literal meanings, and a few of them may not, because some words or some components actually work in combination, while the other words they don't really work in combination. So in ni hao, ni means you and hao means to be good. So literally you are saying like you good means it's like trying to ask someone whether he's doing well or not, in simplest form of greeting. So the next one, 早上好. 早 means early, or it denotes early morning or that kind of stuff. And how we already know, it means good. And shang means someone or something that is upward, uh, or something like that. And 下午好, 下午 means afternoon. In 下午 generally means afternoon. And how in the end actually joins as a part of greeting for this word as well. And 晚上好 and 晚上 here means night. And how then again uh, a form of greeting being added to the end of it. And ni, as we know, means you, and chi means to eat something, and le is sort of uh, denoting a sense of some event that has like already been done, or like it's in the past kind of scenario. Because generally if you ask someone 你吃了吗, it means have you eaten, means it's a perfect uh, tense kind of scenario here. And response, when it comes to response, generally the response for 早上好 is also 早上好 in a similar way, just like we mentioned before. And 你好吗? 你好吗 means how are you? And in 你好吗, this complete expression, the word ni means you, and hao means good, and ma it, in the end serves as a question particle in this particular sentence. So you good what, literally this means something like this. But when we take it expression wise, it is generally asking someone to whether he's doing well or not. In other sense, how are you or how are you doing? It's similar to that kind of expression. So ni hao ma generally means how are you? And in Chinese culture, in Chinese society, especially in linguistic terms of Mandarin language as a whole, uh, often the answers to certain questions can be rather direct compared to, let's say, English, Hindi, or some of the other languages. So here we are seeing some direct expressions in form of answer here. So 很好 means very good, and as we can see, the personal pronoun is being omitted in this particular answer, or you could say response, because we cannot see any word for I or me or myself here in this sentence. So 很好 means very good. 很 means very, and 好 we already know and studied about it. It means good. 很好 very good. And 谢谢, the word 谢谢 means thank you in general. So generally, if you have to use personal pronoun in this particular sentence, we often use the word 我很好, but it can also be a direct answer like this, 很好,谢谢, because it always denotes the same kind of response or answer. So the meaning doesn't change here, but the way of expressing yourself, the approach that you use does change here, because it is more of a direct approach that you will often see with languages like Japanese, or you could say Chinese. There are certain times when the speaker who is answering to a certain question often uses direct approach like this uh, to confront such kind of situation. So these are some of the everyday greetings that we mentioned, and I'll try to repeat the pronunciation again for you guys so that you can understand it better. So first of all, I start with 你好, which is for hello, and 早上好, which is for good morning, and 下午好, which is for good afternoon, and 晚上好, which is for good evening. And then again, we have 你吃了吗?你吃了吗? Have you eaten? And the response is 早上好,你好吗?早上好, again, good morning, and 你好吗? Again, how are you? And 很好,谢谢, very well or very good, thank you. So some of the other basic polite expressions that uh, we want to mention are the following ones that I am going to focus on. First of all, we have 你好. We already studied that, which is for hello. And then we have a new word here, which is 再见. 再见. 再见 means goodbye. Uh, and in the word 再见, 再 means again, and 见 means to see somebody. So normally when you use this kind of expression, it is generally used for saying goodbye, but literally it means I will see you again. So it so if you go towards the literal meaning, there are things that can often be confusing at times. So that's why we have to study the whole expression as a unit at times. So it's 再见, which means goodbye, and the word 谢谢, which is for thank you. We already studied that as well. So in reply to the word 谢谢, generally we use the expression 不客气, 不客气, which is for you are welcome. There are some other expressions that can be used in a similar way as well, with just some different speaking style or like words, but this is also one of the most common ones to use for expressions like you are welcome. And then we have the word which is for like extreme politeness, or like for polite expressions, the word 请, 请, which is for please, or or could you give me a favor or something like that kind of scenario. The word 请 is commonly used for that kind of scenario. And then we have the word 对不起,对不起, which is generally used for sorry. Uh, and, and even at times, depending on the situation, depending on the context, can also be used for excuse me or something like similar kind of scenario. But generally, it can also be used for the word sorry. So we pronounce it like 对不起. And then we have the word 没关系.没关系, it means it's okay or no problem. So generally, 没关系 is used for no issue, no problem, or it's okay. Kind of similar expression in a way, especially uh, when someone says sorry to you and you want to say like it's okay, no problem. You can generally use this expression 没关系. So it is used in a similar scenario like this. And the word expression that we already studied before, 你好吗? How are you? Which we already studied in the previous slide. So I think you guys should be clear about this. And then the final one we have 很高兴认识你,很高兴认识你. First of all, in order to understand this expression very well, we have to break it down in parts to understand it better. So it generally means nice to meet you or nice to know you. So the first unit of the word that exists in this particular sentence or expression is like 很, which means very, and 高兴. 高兴 means uh, to be happy or to be glad about something. And then we have the word expression 认识. 认识 means to know somebody, to meet somebody. Uh, and then in at the end we have the word 你, which means you. And we already studied this expression in the word 你好. So 很高兴认识你 generally means nice to meet you or I am very glad to know you in other sense. And in this picture, uh, in this slide, there's a classical Chinese expression which is 久仰大名,心会心会. It generally means that I am very glad to meet you. But this is used in classical Chinese literature, and in classical Chinese nowadays you won't be seeing this kind of expression in like common greetings, and especially in the modern society. Uh, so that's why expressions like 很高兴认识你 or expression like 很高兴见到你, these have replaced the older expressions in these modern times. So let's proceed to the next slide. Those in Mandarin society, what are the things that we need to keep our like focus on, or like greet politely with with a slight bow or nod, especially when meeting elders or superiors. This is one of the most common aspects that we need to take notice of in a Mandarin society. Use both hands when offering or receiving gifts, documents, or like business cards, something that we have already discussed before. And show great respect for elders, letting them speak first or to be served first. I mean, this is going to be very important aspect, especially when you are meeting an elder or meeting an elder for the first time. It's very important to let them speak and don't like bulge in between the conversation, because it can be considered impolite if you do so. So you have to be very patient and respectful towards the elders. This is a very important aspect of their culture and society. Address people formally using their title and surname, uh, unless invited to be informal. Unless you know someone in person for a long time, or like you are, uh, or that person is your friend, or you know him for a like a very long time, you have to be more formal instead of being informal. Because if you don't really uh, like take notice of these things, or like don't address them in a proper way, then it will be considered very impolite as well. So be punctual for the social and business meetings as well, because lateness is considered to be very disrespectful and impolite, and it's not really appreciated in a Chinese speaking society. And then we have another point that is very important, is express humility when receiving compliments by downplaying them modestly. So just like I mentioned before, modesty is a very important aspect of this Chinese society. So no matter how much achievements you have, no matter how much successful you are, no matter how much money you have, or whatever you have achieved in your life, it is extremely important to be polite and modest, uh, whether it's about public gatherings or like daily conversation, because arrogance or like some arrogance or something like a pride or anything that is related to these kind of aspects is not considered to be very polite in their society. And then following the seat order in formal settings, it reflects hierarchy and respect. And then we have another important aspect, which is like bringing a small gift when visiting someone's home as a token of appreciation. So that is also a very important aspect of this Chinese society. And use polite expressions or phrases like "qing," which is for please, or like could you give me a favor or something like that. And then the expression that we studied before, 谢谢, which means thank you. And also respect group harmony by avoiding like loud disagreement or like direct confrontation, because usually matters are resolved in person rather than using the direct confrontation approach in their society or culture. So this is also going to be very important when you are like you are having some sort of like a disagreement, or like you want to discuss something. It's always better to use the polite approach and try to uh, try to confront that person in person, instead of like having a direct confrontation, which may not be seen as a very polite approach in their society. So these are also some of the most important points that we need to take notice of, especially when we are interacting with people from like Chinese speaking society. And these are some of the other aspects that I'm going to talk about, which are like uh, which are like things that we are not supposed to do. So don't point your finger, use your whole hand or gesture subtly. So this is also very important. Don't point finger, because it is not really considered polite in their culture. So you usually have to use your whole hand, even as a gesture, as a sign of gesture. And also don't stick chopsticks upright in rice, because it resembles funeral rituals. So it is considered to be a taboo in their culture, and it is not considered to be very polite, especially when you are eating rice or any dish. You're using chopsticks. Don't really put them in upright position while eating something, because as it is mentioned, it resembles funeral rituals and something related to that, so it is not considered to be very polite. And then we have uh, the other point, which is like don't touch someone's head. The head is considered sacred in their culture as well. So while having a conversation or like while interacting with someone, try not to like touch someone's head. This is also going to be very important. And don't give clocks or like umbrellas as gifts, because they symbolize bad luck or separation in Chinese culture. So giving someone clock as a gift or like umbrella as a gift, it is not considered to be very polite either. Like it's more like considered to be wishing someone to die in their culture. I mean, from their perspective. So this is also an important aspect that we need to take notice of. Then we have don't openly criticize or embarrass someone. This is a very important point that we have already discussed like several times before, even in our previous slides. So it causes a loss of face uh, in or reputation in Chinese society. So it is not considered to be very polite or nice, especially direct confrontation kind of thing. So even if you have some issues with your like colleague or like with your classmate who is Chinese or like from that society, it is better to discuss that issue with that person in person, because that is like the more polite approach. Because if you do an open confrontation with that person, it will not just annoy him, but it will make him feel that you are disrespecting him and not respecting him as a person. And then again, we have don't initiate physical contact like hugging or like backpatting unless you are close. So these are some other points that are very important to take notice of. And then we have don't talk loudly in public places, because modesty and calmness is they are like very appreciated in this society. So usually you have to be very modest and calm in public places. Even if you want to talk or discuss something, try to use polite approach. Try not to talk too much loudly in the public places, whether it is MRT, train, or wherever you are going, even in the markets. So try to talk with as much low voice as possible. And don't write names in red ink, because traditionally it signals death or severing the ties between uh, one person and another person. So this is also considered to be one of the taboos of the Chinese culture. And other than that, we have don't show the soles of your feet. It is considered impolite and disrespectful as well. So this is another point that is very important to highlight here. And don't reject gift or hospitality too strongly, because it may offend the giver. So when you are trying to reject a gift, or if you don't want to take the gift, try to reject it in a more of a polite approach as much as you possibly can, because if you try to reject a gift too strongly, then it will offend the giver and it will not leave any good impact on the giver side. And he may think that you are rejecting him in a rather impolite and disrespectful manner. So it will like not bring upon a good impression on the giver side. So these are some of the imp- important don'ts in Mandarin Chinese speaking culture that we need to take notice of. And then we have the role play side of these aspects, or like the expression that we learned before. Like in scenario one, whether you when you are like entering a Mandarin shop, you are walking into a small bakery in Beijing. What should you say and how should you behave? These are like very important aspects here. Politely greet the shopkeeper with the expression "ni hao" and a slight nod. Wait for your turn patiently without raising your voice or interrupting others. This is also a very important aspect of this whole scenario. Avoid touching items without permission. So this is also a very important aspect here. And scenario two, meeting a Mandarin business associate. When you are meeting a Mandarin business associate, you are introduced to a senior colleague at a formal business meeting in Shanghai. So how do you greet them appropriately? Expected response would be offer a slight bow or nod with a formal greeting like Nin Hao. We already studied the expression Ni Hao before, but when we are addressing a customer or someone senior or like someone who is above in position to you, we generally use the element of respect factor in that scenario. So the word Nin Hao is used. Even to address teachers, we also use the expression nin hao instead of ni hao, because it is considered to be more of a like a polite version of the word ni hao. And use their title and surname like Li Zong. And Zong generally in Chinese, especially when it is like used with a family or surname, it is considered to be a short expression for manager or like the like CEO or someone who is like holding a senior position in the company or any organization where he's working. So Lee Song is generally for General Manager Lee, and avoid overly firm handshakes or like casual physical contact unless initiated. So these are some of the other important aspects that we must take notice of, especially when we are like indulge in the society itself and interacting with people on daily basis. So this was like pretty much it from my side about the today's class and material. If you guys have any questions to ask, or if you want to know anything, or like have some queries, you can leave me feedback in the feedback side of the site. And thank you once again to Henry Harvin for giving me this opportunity. And also thanks for joining our Mandarin Chinese introductory course class as well. So if you guys have any other issues, queries, or whatever you want to know, please feel free to reach me out. Thank you very much from my side.